This is Fireball Island. It was originally created by Chuck Kennedy and Bruce Lund and published by Milton Bradley in 1986. And as far as board games from the 80s are concerned, this one is not easily forgotten. From its iconic vacuum-formed 3D island game board to its brilliantly colorful board game box art, this game screams adventure, and rightfully so. It's very much inspired from the adventure fantasy genre that was huge at the time of its publication. Movies like Indiana Jones, Romancing the Stone, and Goonies were storming the theaters at the time, so naturally, a themed board game was going to go over very well. This one I had reviewed earlier this year, and I compared it to its 2021 edition by Goliath Games called Fireball Island Race to Adventure, which is actually, again, a remake of the 2019 Fireball Island Curse of Vul-Kar. And in that video, I embarrassed myself for 30 minutes straight by continuing to call him Vul-Kar. It wasn't until people started pointing it out that I had to really look at the spelling and go, geez, I had misread that. So my apologies to anybody who watches that video and it just drives them nuts, because nowadays it drives me nuts too. But hey, we live with our mistakes and we learn. And another thing that I learned while doing that video, I was referring to this as a blow molded plastic board, and this is actually vacuum formed. I wasn't too familiar with plastics, but again, my comment section came through. So thank you all for familiarizing me with that. I noticed that it's really common for a lot of games in the area to have vacuum formed components. So that was really useful knowledge. And speaking of vacuum formed components, the topographical map of Fireball Island is incredibly detailed and super engaging. Everything from skeletons on the beach to giant snakes deep in the jungle to these hidden caves that players can use to jump around the map or trap themselves on a cliffside. It's all there for you to explore. And it looks every bit as exciting as the cover art suggests. Now, I wasn't able to find out who the original artist was, but I see a signature here, Alexander. So if anybody watching knows, please do comment below. I wasn't able to find any resources, but they deserve some credit because the pandemonium on display is amazing. And this is definitely something that caught my attention. When we flip it over, I love the photo of the game board sitting on a beach with the sunset in the background. And of course, we have a nice description of the game. The box flips open along this side here. The game board slides out. And I do recommend if you get a copy of this, get a container for the small parts. They tend to walk away very easily. You're going to get 5 red glass marbles, 2 bridges, Vul-Kar's head, 4 of these little magical talisman tokens, 4 explorers, a single 6-sided die with pips, a rule book, and a deck of cards. No, I didn't count them. I know. You would think that I'd be a completionist. Maybe that's the part of this video that's going to annoy future viewers. Don't know, don't care. I'm just here to have fun and play. But these cards are very important to the game. Players will roll and move their way around Fireball Island, making their way up to the top of the mountain to steal this jewel from Vul-Kar. Along the way, they may land on some of these darker spaces, and when they do, they get to draw one of these cards, which will provide them with an event or an item that either has to happen right away or they can hold on to it for strategic use later. They can have a maximum of 4 of these cards in their hand. Now, when they pass this mountain early in the game, they can collect one of these magic talismans that they can either redeem for a full hand of 4 action cards, or they can save and use to interlock with the Jewel of Vul-Kar, and that will prevent other players from stealing their cards in the second half of the game. Now, as they make their way around the island, they can either navigate one of many branching paths or use these cave shortcuts. When they enter a cave shortcut and roll the die, they will jump to whichever cave is numbered to match that die, and in the instance that they are unlucky, that can trap them as well. So it is a bit of a risk-reward system. Other special spaces include these bridges in the second half of the map here, which are considered dead stops. So if you land on a bridge, even if you're actually, like, let's say, you're 2 spaces away from the bridge and you roll a 5, you still come to a dead stop on that bridge to your next turn. And that's to make sure that players are vulnerable and slows down your travel in the second half of the game, because arguably traversing the map from Vul-Kar to the boat that you're going to escape on, that's a shorter portion of the track. So having those bridges there makes a little bit of sense. It adds some urgency. Now, if players get knocked down by a fireball, they will have to set their piece on its side in one of these burn pits, whichever one is closest to where they land after getting knocked by the fireball. They'll miss a turn, then be able to stand up and begin navigating the island again. Now, players will launch fireballs if they drop a 1 on the die or draw a fireball card. If they roll a 1 on the die, they have to roll that fireball right away, even if their explorer is the only one in the path of the fireball. Whereas if they draw a fireball card, they can hold on to it for strategic use later. So as you can see, you can choose chaos, or you can have chaos happen to you. This is such a fun adventure game. I'm so happy I got a hold of it for the show, because I gotta say, after having played it a few times, it keeps popping up on game night. Not only is it a visual showstopper, but it's so simple to learn and easy to play. It's one of those that you can have a great conversation with your friends and not lose track of whose turn it is or what's going on. And the added bonus, I didn't point this out, but Vul-Kar's head does rotate, so you can actually take aim, and you can even chain some of these shots. Some of the paths that you can send the fireballs on will agitate another fireball, so you can hit multiple targets by setting off one fireball. And another little detail that I like, this comes with a really generous rule book that even has a great index on the back that explains all the action cards in detail. But there was a tally from the previous owners for how many games that they had played. It obviously belonged to some younger kids who loved this to death. And that's something that I really enjoy about collecting vintage games, is I love when I can see that they were loved. I really enjoy seeing games getting the respect and play that they deserve. And an iconic game like Fireball Island shouldn't be just sitting in a box on a shelf somewhere. You should be getting this out, throwing it on the table, and sharing the experience with your friends. And that's exactly why I'm doing this today. I know I reviewed it before, but I've been enjoying this game so much. I just wanted to bring it out and share it with you again, get a little updated footage, and really thank my channel members, the Couch Potatoes, for supporting me, because it's you guys that make it possible for me to get these awesome games out on the table. So please do enjoy this B-reel here that I'm going to put up for you, because I enjoyed filming it. But this is a great game. If you get the opportunity to pick up a 1986 edition of Fireball Island, you should definitely do it. You will have no regrets. One thing that I really appreciate is, though the game box is big, this is like 25 by 20 inches and 4 inches deep. It's pretty big. Realistically, when you think about it, it's only about 5 inches wider than your traditional 20-inch game board, but it looks massive because of the topography. Now, that being said, this is just... it blurs the line between a toy and a game, and I think that's why it really hits on every level for me and is such an attractive and fun piece. So definitely something to add to your collection and your family game night if you have the opportunity. Hey, thanks everyone for joining me. We'll see you next time.